blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
It's time for the Nick B Podcast. No co-hosts, no filters, and no telling what the hell will come out of his mouth.
That's what I love about this guy, Nick.
Now, here's your host, Nick B.
What's going on, everybody? You got Nick B coming to do another episode of Blah, Blah, Blah with you. And if I'm being honest, it's been a minute. The reason it's been a minute is because I've been busy. I've been doing a bunch of other things, and I just haven't had time to do my podcast. But that's all going to change because I'm going to start doing my podcast from wherever I may be in this great big world of ours. And this podcast is not edited, so you're going to hear a lot of breathing. You're going to hear some background because I happen to be in a non-studio environment right now, and I'm using my trusty travel mic with me, but I did not want to continue going any further without continuing with my podcast. My podcast is officially called Blah, Blah, Blah with Nick B. And it basically means I'm going to come on here and talk about whatever it is that I feel like talking about. I try not to do anything political because I simply do not want it on everything that I do. I have a specific show for that, and that is where all the political stuff goes. So if you're looking for political comments or political reviews or anything like that, you need to head over to that. It's called Nick's. There we go. Mistake number one. It's called Nick's Take. Go over to nickbnation.com and you'll see it under shows if that is what you are looking for. But it's been a minute. We relaunched the Nick B Show. Myself and producer Rochelle, we got it back going, and we brought on Cookie, and JR is now going by his real name, Frank. So Frank the Tank is now with us. And then, of course, we have LB and myself doing the Nick B Show. We are changing it up a little bit because we're only doing it Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But by doing it that way, I think it gives us more of a entertaining standpoint for the show because we're not rushing to do everything and we're not having to find stuff to talk about every day. Do the gimmicks and the crazy stuff. We're actually having a whole lot of fun doing it. So tune in to the Nick B Show. Again, it airs Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Central Time. You can listen to us live on nickbnation.com. You can watch us live on nickbnation.com. You can always watch us live on Nick B TV. You can watch us live on X, YouTube, and Twitch. You can see us on all of those. We may add Kick later, I don't know, but you can go and watch us live on all of those places. And if any of the socials go away, just keep in mind nickbnation.com is where you can go find everything out about me and anything that's going on with the shows, anything like that. Again, nickbnation.com is where you can go and find all of that out. Now, the world has gotten kind of crazy. There's some things that have been happening. And again, I'm not going to go political wise, but it always seems to be kind of crazy that people tend to go crazy when their party isn't in power. Like I've been seeing this thing running around on X where it's like, 2016 through 2018, 2019, there were riots. And then from 2020 to 2024, there were no riots. 2024 to where we are now, riots, stuff like that. And it's trying to kind of say that because of the current leadership, we're having riots, we're having unrest, we're having all these things. And there's actually a side of our political spectrum that thinks that's a good argument. In reality, all that does is show that one side of the political spectrum has a tantrum when they don't get their way. And for people to think that this is some kind of gotcha moment in politics, I think is funny. But the part that alarms me the most as an anarchist is the fact that you have people that are openly calling for attacks on federal law enforcement. This is the part of my anarchy that I have a confliction with. And the reason I say that is because without our law enforcement, this world would be insane. Our country would be insane. Just imagine, look at what happened when people were allowed to do whatever the hell they wanted during some of the riots when they were burning down cities. The police didn't do anything to stop them. That was pure anarchy. And that is when I started going, maybe I don't like that aspect of anarchy. It's actually kind of crazy. My anarchist beliefs have been starting to kind of chip away from things that I core values that I believe. I still don't believe that we should have police. I do not believe there is anybody that should have the right to rule over me, nor do I recognize anybody's right to rule over me. With one exception, usually. That exception is God. I am a believer. I believe in God, the Creator. He is the only one that I will bend a knee to. Everybody else can get fucked. That still means I don't vibe with police. I don't fuck with police. But at the same time, I do respect them, because without them, shit's going to go crazy and people are going to burn down shit. And I don't want to see that happening. I don't want to see anything getting burnt down. I don't want to see anybody getting hurt. I don't want to see anything like that. So that's why my anarchist views are changing, if you will, and morphing. And one could argue that it's because I've grown up, but in reality, I haven't grown that much. I really haven't. So I'm still the same guy that I've always been. I still hold the same beliefs, but it has nothing to do with quote unquote maturing or anything like that. It's just I started looking at the world from a different perspective and realizing that I needed to kind of pull back on some of the things where, one might say I was putting hate or energy that I shouldn't put energy into. If you want to call that maturing, sure, go right ahead, call it maturing. I doubt very seriously I will call it maturing, and I doubt very seriously anybody that knows me will ever say I have matured at all about anything, even in my damn near 50 years of doing life. They're going to say, no, he's exactly the same that he's been since, middle school, whatever. People, if they've known me that long, which there aren't too many people that have known me that long, but they'll definitely tell you. So it's this weird feeling that's going on in the country right now of a lot of people that are just, and you hear these things, and again, I want to stress, I do not like doing politics here, but this is just what started flowing. So Trump is not somebody I'm a fan of. I'm not a fan of a lot of the stuff that he is doing. Some of the stuff he's doing I do agree with, just like with Biden, with Obama, with Trump before, with Bush, with Clinton. I mean, there's been parts that I did not like and parts that I did like. And again, this is where the conflictions of my anarchy comes in. Because again, I respect the office because I consider myself to be a constitutional patriot. All of these things, right? This is why I'm an enigma. Because I have different views and different values on a lot of things that some people might have, but the majority of people don't have. And this is how I'm willing to support any party if I believe they're going to be the quote-unquote better party. Although my voting, I'm kind of struggling with that now. I've got the patriotic side of me that's no, if I don't vote, then I really don't have the right to complain about the outcome. And there's not a third party or a fourth party or whatever that I could vote for. And the Republicans don't really check all the boxes for me. Neither do the Democrats. So it's one of those things where it's do I want to vote anymore? Because I don't know if I believe in it as much as I used to. And that's actually a really sad thing for me to hear myself say, because it's something that I used to hold very dear. But the fact that a lot of things have changed in the country and the way that things have changed is what's kind of changing my opinion on voting and things like that. But anyway, I don't really like a lot of the stuff that Trump is doing. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of his, and I have said several times I'm not a fan of his, but the fact that everything he's doing is causing this great uproar with people to sit there and scream, oh, this is evil, this is unconstitutional, he's going to be going door to door to kill people, all these things. It's none of that stuff is happening. I remember on the Democrat side of things when Republicans were kind of saying that about Obama, and the Democrats were what the fuck are you talking about? That's ridiculous. So I want to sit here and say that it's ridiculous when people say it about Trump. Now, in regards to the shootings that have happened because of ICE, there are other instances and there are other things at play in both of those shootings. Bottom line, if you're going to go and try to impede federal law enforcement from doing their federally mandated job, you're going to meet resistance from those federal people. And when you bring a gun into that equation, I am a big 2A supporter. You have the right to legally carry wherever it is lawful in the United States. The United States as a whole does not discriminate against having a gun or having a gun with a fully loaded magazine. Those are not illegal in this country. But just like it's kind of like considered a bad idea to take a fully loaded gun into a bar with you. In fact, in a lot of places it's illegal, but it's considered a bad idea, right? And the reason taking a fully loaded weapon into a bar with you is a bad idea is because aggression will appear, and some people will have more of a aggressive stance, and they'll be, inebriated to a point where they're feeling quote unquote froggy, and they're going to want to hurt you. They're going to want to fight, whatever the case may be, and you're going to pull that weapon. And if you pull that weapon and you use it while you're intoxicated, you get in trouble just as much as they do. And if they die, you're probably going to be tried for murder, because there's this thing that's called responsibility. Self-responsibility and self-reliance are the two that keep coming to my mind. But definitely self-responsibility. So in this case, where the second shooting, where the dude showed up with a gun, again, not illegal, he had the gun in his back. He did not brandish it at all. But the moment any of those agents see that he has that gun, it becomes a completely different scenario. Now, there have been some clips in the actual video that I've seen where people are trying to claim that the nurse did pull the gun. I don't think he pulled the gun, and since it's not that clear for me to see, I don't know. Then there's the aspect of him where they claim he supposedly was assaulting the woman that was on the ground. I don't see that. I don't see him assaulting her. I see him trying to help her up. And then when the agents started grabbing him, I think he full-on panicked and was like, no, I don't want this to happen. I don't want them to, quote-unquote, beat my ass or whatever. So he started holding on to her, hoping that it would cause some kind of, I don't know, additional issues to where they wouldn't be able to do anything to him, is what I'm thinking. So I don't know, though. And again, none of us will know what was going through his head, but he definitely does latch on to the woman's backpack that he was trying to help. As agents are trying to pull him, you can see he's pulling her with him a couple of minutes before the shooting. But here's my question. Again, let's use the scenario of the bar. If that nurse had walked into the bar with a gun, gotten a little drunk, somebody else got a little drunk, started running their mouth off, and he pulled the gun and shot him, that would be a different scenario to you, would it not? And if it's not, explain why. It's the exact same thing. He basically took a loaded weapon into a hornet's nest and started thumping hornets. And when the hornets found out that he had the weapon, that's when things got to a point that's serious. And I'm not excusing what they did. I don't believe their response to him having the gun was lawful. They disarmed him, and then a shot rang out, and they just laid waste to him. And there's a lot of issues with this, again, with this particular shooting. One of them being the type of firearm that they claim he was carrying. It's a SIG, and that SIG weapon is known for accidental discharge. If it is like squeezed in a certain way or whatever, it will go off. Not all the time, but it has the potential to go off. And there's a bunch of people that have found the video of the guy, the ICE agent, after he disarmed him, walking away with the weapon, and it appears that that's what happened. And when that shot happened is when the other agents started freaking out, and they basically unloaded on the guy. But again, there has to be, and I know as an American, it is a fundamental thing for us to go and protest things that we don't believe in. I will fight to the end for that. But there has to be some common sense in a lot of these aspects. Like taking a gun in an area where you know is already a high-stressed environment, where you know these agents are already on high alert because they're going to do what they believe is a federally mandated thing. And legally speaking, it is federally mandated. You don't have to like it, but they do have a federally mandated job, which is to remove illegals. So they're going to remove an illegal. They don't know anything about the person other than what's in the file, right? You never know the person's mental state when you show up to take them from their home, from their job, whatever. This is true for police too when they show up to serve a search warrant or when they show up to arrest somebody. They're on edge already because they have to be. Because they want to go home every night too. So they have to lean into their training. They have to make sure that everything is going by the book and that they're following everything and that they're alert. Then you add the stress of the city that they're doing this job in. The police are not going to come and back them up. They've already said they're not coming to help them. The governor, the mayor, and everybody in that town, the district attorneys, everybody has said they don't like them. They hate them. They've encouraged their citizens to go out there and protest against them. They've encouraged this mob to get out there and be, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, not quote, but for lack of a better term, in their faces. And then you're going to bring a gun to that, which is going to cause the stress to go. It's beyond me that people are not looking at this and going, well, the nurse holds some responsibility. I'm not busting his balls for having the gun because, again, that's not illegal. He never pulled the gun as far as I can see in any of the videos. If I see a clearer video, I will, of course, make note of that on this podcast episode. But you have to have the same kind of cool-headedness about yourself that you would when you're going into a bar. Again, it doesn't make sense to bring a loaded weapon because you never know what's going to happen. And when you start getting into it with federal agents, they have the right, as every other police officer and as every other human on this planet does, to meet aggression with aggression. Now, did the nurse, did he meet the parameters of aggression? I don't think so. But at the same time, it goes back to the fact that if he hadn't brought the gun, then we wouldn't have had issues. That's the only thing that really stands out to me in this particular regard. If he did not bring that weapon, he'd potentially still be alive. Now, he may have been arrested for impeding or whatever they would have tried to have hit him with, but it's a sad situation. Now, on the other side of it, with the woman that was in the car, from the angle the agent was at, he could not determine if she was turning her wheels or not, is what I got out of it. One could argue, excessive use of force, but here's the problem with that. And it's a thing in this country that a lot of people need to understand is precedent. Precedent is what rules our nation, especially when it comes to lawsuits and things like that. The courts are always going to look at the precedent and if this case has anything that's precedential in the past, right? So the precedent here is it has been long established that the system as a whole leaves it up to the agent, the officer, the deputy, whatever they are in law enforcement. They leave it to their judgment as to what is enough force to stop what they believe to be a direct threat to either their safety or the public safety. Now, a lot of people argue, why did he move in front of the vehicle? Part of the reason why he moved in front of the vehicle was because he was recording the entire interaction. The second, and this is a thing that I don't like, the whole phones being out by them. Because why don't they have body cam footage? That would stop a lot of this if they had the body cam footage. But anyway, so he's walking around the car with his phone recording. And he's also positioning himself at a point where he can be backup to his other agents, the ones that are trying to open the door, if you will. Now, did he break protocol by going to the front? I don't know. I'm not a federal agent. I believe there would be some kind of common sense that you don't get directly in front of the vehicle, but I'm not here to debate that. The fact of the matter is, in that shooting, that woman was told, get out of the car. Her wife, lover, whatever she was, started screaming, go, baby, go. And in that situation, you're all ramped up thinking that you're doing this great American thing, right? And then you hear your lover, your wife, whatever it was, saying, go, get out of there. You're thinking, I need to get out of here. You're not thinking, I was just given a lawful command, because you've also been told you don't have to obey them. They're only ICE. They have nothing to do with citizens. People forget the fact that they are federal law enforcement. That's the problem, that a lot of people are experiencing the bad stuff about ICE, because they're not looking at them as the federal law enforcement. Now, the first shooting with Renee Good, I think, was justified. You can hate me all you want. The second shooting, I think, is a tragic. Both of them are tragic, but I think the second one is the one where I think the ICE agents may have to face a little consequences for that, because as I'm looking at it today, which is January 25th, as I'm looking at it today, it does not look like the aggressor was the nurse. It doesn't look like he was the aggressor. Now, did he involve himself? Yes. Should he have involved himself? That's a story for, we can talk about that till the cows come home. Bottom line, in my opinion, if he hadn't been there, if he hadn't been trying to obstruct the federal agents, I think he'd still be alive today. As would Renee. If she hadn't gone to obstruct, she would still be alive. There's personal responsibility in these things that nobody seems to look at. And while I agree, we are wholeheartedly able, backed by the Constitution, all of that good shit, to protest. And I will protest with you. I will defend your right to protest until the day I die. There also has to be some kind of understanding and some kind of common sense that, hey, if we cross this line, it might be a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you cross that line, you potentially put your life in danger. You have to know that. And again, I understand for the causes and everything that people believe in, they're willing to do that. That's great. But when it happens, I don't think you can complain about it. Didn't mean for this one to be political. Had no idea really what I was going to talk about, but there you have it. That's what's in the news again for January 25th, 2026. This has been Blah, Blah, Blah with Nick B. Don't forget to catch me on The Nick B Show, which airs Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. But for now, that's all I got for you. Hug your loved ones each and every day, because you never know when the good Lord will call them home. For every dark night, there's always a brighter day, and life's just a party, and parties weren't meant to last. I'll see you when I see you. Y'all be good.
The proceeding was produced by Look Butterflies Entertainment. All rights reserved. Unauthorized reproduction or rebroadcast in whole or in part without the express written consent of Look Butterflies Entertainment is strictly prohibited. Check our website for shows, ways to listen, and all of our social media links. To learn more, visit www.nickbnation.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Look, butterflies.